Welcome to Beyond the Book, presented by Juxtabook. I'm Zach Christensen. It's our weekly Q&A episode, answering your questions about writing, publishing, and launching your book. Let's begin.
What would you say is the best advice that you have tried or have heard of someone trying to overcome the imposter syndrome as you're starting out as an author? There's so many times where I look at the topics that I would love to write about and then find a book in which somebody else has written something similar, but not my version, of course, which is why I'm still interested in writing. But what would you say is the best advice to just encourage someone to keep going?
I'd like to start with a focus on overcoming imposter syndrome. The first thing you need to define, if you feel like you're struggling with this, is to define what overcoming means to you. What does it look like when you, quote unquote, beat imposter syndrome? If you're unsure, how are you going to recognize when that feeling is past? With all the research and discussion around imposter syndrome, as an author, understand that this will be part of your journey when you are putting yourself, your stories, and thoughts out into the world. To answer the next part of your question about what is my best advice for overcoming imposter syndrome, I would say that it's multi-layered. First, understand its impact on you. How's it affecting your daily life, your confidence, and what you're trying to produce and put out into the world? Second, dive deeper into why it's having such an effect on you. Third, seek feedback. Does your perception of yourself match with others' views? Often we underestimate our capabilities where others are seeing us as experts in our field and someone who they can trust to help them out. Fourth, decide on what your next step is going to be. Once you've recognized and learned from experiencing imposter syndrome and why it's there and what's underlying it, what will you do to lean in and understand and overcome this feeling? And five, and this is probably where more of the advice comes in, have a service mentality. If you are there to give, to provide value, and to help others with your expertise or your stories, then you are in the right frame of mind and you have the right intent. And with that service mentality, you have to understand that there will be people who will take and receive what you are offering and those who don't. You cannot control how others are going to react. And I don't think imposter syndrome will ever completely disappear from your life. Personally, I've often wondered if it's a sign that we're growing because it surfaces when we're uncomfortable, we're trying to stretch, do something different or new, and being out of our comfort zone. And your identity, background, and the context that you've been a part of can influence the extent to which you feel like an imposter. For you as an author, take into account that there's millions of books out there on numerous subjects. And if you're writing within a crowded niche, there could be hundreds of books on the same topic. But remember, what's going to set your book apart is you, your stories, your perspective, your uniqueness. Your insights and narratives will resonate differently with readers, offering them a fresh perspective and thinking of ways they may never have considered. The key is consistency. Keep talking about your expertise, your book, and put it out there for people to see. You're going to build your brand that way. Being an author isn't easy, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's a long-term commitment. You might feel like an imposter again after finishing your first book and you start a new one. The trick is to embrace that discomfort and recognize that you're growing through this process. This will only make your work better as it raises the bar for what you want to produce. Thank you for this question. You got this. If you have any questions about a recent episode, I'd love to hear from you. Visit juxtabook.com/beyond the book and click the appropriate button to leave your question, and we will include it in our weekly Q&A episode. Your book is just one chapter in your author journey. Think beyond the book as you craft your path. Thank you for your questions And thank you for listening.